find women in your life. I found 10 women in my life that I like really respected and thought were incredible women. And I wrote them an email and said, I'm putting you all in this chain. Can you please respond with 3 things your dad did awesome and 3 things he could have done better? The highest one of the 10 that like was uniform was that my dad didn't treat me different. It didn't feel like I was being treated like a girl.
Right.
That he was open to what I was exposed to was what a person should be exposed to as opposed to what a girl should be exposed to.
Okay.
And it's so good to hear that because I just like wouldn't have expected that would be the first one.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Another one that I'm very interested in talking to you about is another uniform response was and it went in the bad category, was he was too strict. And it made me feel like he didn't trust me, which threw me for a loop because it was so, almost every one of them said it, but this was all in a group of women that I super respected.
Wow.
So that was like interesting to me. I didn't know how to handle that part of the data.
Because you're saying they were such incredible women.
These are unbelievable women that if I had to choose who are my favorite women in my life, I'd pick these women.
These 10 women.
And in the bad category from them came, my dad was too strict, made me feel like he didn't trust me. Mm-hmm. But then I was wondering like, oh, is that actually something that has helped create all this incredibleness?
Right.
What would you say?
I mean, like my dad was extremely, it was impossible it felt impossible to please him and to be good enough in terms of like, at school and just in anything that I really did. Like his standards were very high and he was very emphasized discipline and work ethic so much. And that is my strongest, like my work ethic, but to a T and to a problem at certain points. But 100%, like that's why, that's my daddy issue. Yeah. There's so much I want, like there's so much I'm angry that I didn't get from my dad. And there's so much that I wish he had done differently. And one of those things is like what did you call it? Authority or discipline?
Yeah, strict.
Strict, right? I wish he had been kinder and more encouraging. At the same time, more present. I think that a lot of fathers, my father was one of them, like he had so much pressure on his shoulders. Like he was carrying the weight of the family and all of us. And he like took care of my mom. And oh my God, I'm really gonna bawl. No, like I'm like trying to keep it together, and this is how he really took care of my mom and he took care of us. And I didn't appreciate how hard that was for him and how much of that caretaking of us or caregiving of us meant taking away from himself. Mm-hmm. And what I wish now is that he could, first of all, share what that was like for him, because we've all in, a lot of families that grew up with difficulty, you end up kind of hopefully coming together and being able to talk about it afterwards and repair. And we've all kind of been able to do it. But my dad doesn't share how everything affected him. He just, I think, is still holding on to it as a way to keep it all together and keep himself together. So I wish he had taken care of himself too. And I wish he could take care of himself and give to himself in the way that he's given to all of us. So that doesn't answer your question. My God, I feel like when my dad won't be with me, there will be so much that I haven't told him. And I don't feel that way about my mom. Like, I feel like my mom and I get to talk about a lot of things. And that's my biggest fear in life is like, we won't have shared and reached the potential of intimacy and connection that is possible. And I feel like I'm not alone.
No.
I feel like there are a lot of people who want to connect deeply with their dads, but like don't really know how to.
Yeah.
And I think that their dads also feel that way. And so you just end up talking about stuff. And again, whatever that is for you, doing activities with your dad and bonding in other ways. But I think that from both sides, there's this deep yearning for intimacy. And I have so much intimacy with my dad. Like my dad did everything for me, like everything. And my dad, like my dad gave me my bath at night. My dad read me a story every night. He made my monkey talk. Like I was obsessed with monkeys. And like when I was having a bad day, like he would put the little monkey, like she would pop her head in my door, and like he did all of that. And yeah, I there's like nothing I could say that would really, there are not enough words like in the English language for me to really express like how important my dad is to me. So anyway, 3 things. Yeah, it's like,
that'll
it's like
do.
3
That's
things just
amazing.
feels like, it's all those, everything.
So I have 2 daughters, 32 and 5. And I wonder what my daughter would say if you asked her 2 or 3 things I did right, 2 or 3 things I could have done better. In fact, you know what I'm going to do right now? Live right now.
Yes.
Hello, baby girl. Are you driving?
Yes.
So we are live on the Man Enough podcast right now. Say hello, Jasmine.
Okay, hey.
I have a question for you. Would you mind sharing 3 things that you think I did right? And let me frame it with this. Because you have a sister, Day, who's 5, and I want to be a good daddy to her and be better than I was with you. Tell me 3 things I did right and 3 things I could have did better.
Okay. 3 things you did right. One of the biggest things I would say is you're a huge advocate for women, and you let me know that early on. You know, one of the big things you would tell me is my body is my body. I feel like I'm the woman I am today, and I have such a positive outlook on myself because of you and how much you advocated for just women in general. I saw how you treated my mom, even though you were divorced. You did nothing but treat her like a queen. And I saw that, things were rough at times, and I saw that too. But within each argument and within each moment of frustration, I saw you handle that with such love towards her, even if it was just for me to be able to witness that. And the last thing I would say being open. I'd never felt uncomfortable to share anything about anything with you, because you created that space for me to be able to talk about anything I needed to, whether that was sex, whether that was my body and changes and any of the things. I was able to just share those things without feeling, like you were pointing a finger at me or like you were uncomfortable. So you created that space for me. So those are the 3 things I would say. And what you could have done better.
Okay, gotta go. Sorry.
Okay, love you.
No. Go. And just don't worry about having to justify them. Just list them and go.
That's a hard question to answer, Daddy. What you could have done better.
Could I have been more present? Could I have been taking you to Disneyland more? Could I have? I don't know.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe the biggest thing I would say is following through with certain things. Saying you're going to be there, or saying we're going to do something, and that not actually happening is one of the things I would say. Following through with what you say you're going to do, following through with, we have these conversations, and that's the one thing I could maybe say right now off the top of my head.
I love you, Jasmine.
That's fair.